The night the Great Chicago Fire changed America forever on a quiet October night in 1871. Chicagoans went to sleep unaware their city was about to be consumed by fire. Streets glowed red, buildings collapsed, and families ran barefoot through smoke and ash. This was the reality of the Great Chicago Fire. The fire began on the evening of October 8th, 1871, in a small wooden barn owned by Patrick and Catherine O'Leary on DeKoven Street. The exact cause remains unknown. A popular legend blamed Mrs. O'Leary's cow for kicking over a lantern, but historians agree this was myth. What is certain is that conditions were perfect for disaster. Chicago was booming. Its population had grown from about 30,000 in 1850 to nearly 300,000 by 1870. It was the gateway between the East and the expanding West, a hub of railroads, industry, and commerce. But the city was built largely of wood. Houses, sidewalks, and even streets were wooden planks. Roofs were covered with tar and shingles that caught fire ice. After a long, dry summer, Chicago was a tinderbox. When the fire started, wind carried flames from building to building with alarming speed. Within hours, entire blocks were engulfed. Firefighters rushed to the scene, but they were exhausted from battling another large fire the night before. Their equipment was limited, and the city's waterworks could not handle the crisis. By midnight, the fire had leaped across the Chicago River, carried by burning debris. People thought the river would act as a barrier, but flames found fuel in lumber yards, warehouses, and coal piles along the banks. The firestorm grew so intense it created its own weather system, powerful winds and fiery whirlwinds that spread destruction even faster. For 2 days, the fire raged. Families fled with whatever they could carry. Churches, theaters, hotels, and businesses collapsed into ash. The courthouse, with its tall bell tower, burned until the great bell crashed down in sparks. By October 10th, rain helped extinguish the flames. The devastation was immense. More than 17,000 buildings were destroyed. About 100,000 people, 1/3 of the city's population, were left homeless. At least 300 lives were lost, though some believe the number was higher. The ruins stretched across 4 square miles. Yet out of this destruction came resilience. Instead of abandoning Chicago, its citizens rebuilt quickly. Donations poured in from across the country and overseas. New York, St. Louis, London, and Paris sent money, supplies, and volunteers. Within weeks, temporary shelters and relief centers were established. Rebuilding became a symbol of determination. Wooden structures were replaced with stone, brick, and steel. The city adopted stricter building codes. Architects and engineers saw opportunity in the destruction. Chicago became the birthplace of the modern skyscraper. In the decades after the fire, architects like Louis Sullivan and later Frank Lloyd Wright transformed the city into a laboratory of design. The Great Chicago Fire also reshaped American culture. Insurance. The fire bankrupted many companies, forcing reforms in risk management. Urban planning. Cities across the U.S. adopted stricter fire codes, better water systems, and professional fire departments. Myth and memory. The O'Leary cow story became folklore, though it unfairly blamed an immigrant family. By the time of the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893, just 22 years later, Chicago was celebrated as a model of progress and modernity. Visitors marveled at the White City, a showcase of architecture, electricity, and innovation. Eyewitness accounts reveal the human spirit in those dark days. Neighbors helped each other escape, strangers shared food and shelter, and communities came together amid the ashes. One survivor, Joseph Chamberlain, recalled how his family fled with only a bundle of clothes. They slept in open fields, watching the sky glow red. Decades later, he wrote that the fire taught him the fragility of life and the strength of people united by necessity. The Great Chicago Fire was not only a disaster, but a turning point. It transformed a wooden frontier city into a modern metropolis. It showed that even in the face of overwhelming loss, resilience and vision could build something greater. Today, when you walk through downtown Chicago, past its skyscrapers and bustling streets. It is hard to imagine the ground once covered in ash. Yet the memory of 1871 lingers, a reminder of how quickly life can change and how determination can turn disaster into rebirth.